As we get closer to the release of the second Five Nights at Freddy's movie, there's one thing that I can't help but think about, and that's the very humble origins of the FNAF lore, and the games in general. Looking back at FNAF 1, I think it's pretty clear to see that there wasn't as much lore, and although the information we get really lacks specifics, it serves as a good starting point for a much broader story, which now with the context of the other games, we know is a very complicated and long story. But sometimes I think about what that story could have been in the beginning, in a time before the Mimic and Remnant and even William Afton himself. I mean, we weren't even properly introduced to him until 2015 when the Silver Eyes came out. But before that, times were a lot simpler. It was a time when the story itself could have been contained to a trilogy. And speaking of simple things, let's talk about the drawings from FNAF 1. Hey everyone, it's Soda. Thanks for tuning in to the Cherry Soda broadcast. I can't believe the holidays are right around the corner. I hope you guys had a fun Halloween this year and a good fall. Today we're going to be talking about the FNAF 1 drawings. They are found in many different locations, from the hallways to the office, and honestly they're one of the most memorable decorations we see at the pizzeria. I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at them, especially in the office, so there must be something significant about them. But before we start talking about it, I just want to give some credit to this Reddit post which inspired me to make this video. I'll link it down in the description so you guys can read the thread for yourselves. But I thought that some of these points were extremely insightful and I wanted to share it with you guys, while also giving my own thought and my interpretations of the drawing. As always, please feel free to comment down below. I love seeing what you guys have to say and hearing about your own theories. So let's look at some drawings. The first thing that I've always noticed when looking at these is the My Funday text. It doesn't match the handwriting or the art style of the other texts that we see in the drawings, so I'm pretty sure that this was some kind of placemat or worksheet type activity that was probably passed out at events at Freddy Fazbear's, which is actually kind of cute if you think about it, but a little bit sinister when you think about what happens in these games. I mean, My Funday is literally printed onto the paper, so whatever's drawn here will automatically look kind of fun. I think in almost a microscopic way, it's Fazbear Entertainment controlling the narrative of their restaurant. I mean, the only day that you can have at Freddy Fazbear's is a fun day, right? Someone on Reddit pointed out something kind of significant with the placement of the drawings, that the word fun is obscured in almost all of them, which is actually very chilling, especially when you pair it with the crying children posters that we see throughout the building. At least 5 kids didn't have a fun day here. Now let's look at the drawings themselves. All of them are pretty much up to the audience's interpretation in my opinion, just set dressing at a first glance, but it's a little bit interesting if you look closer at them. This first one depicts a child standing next to a large cake, which really reminds me of the Happiest Day cake. And hey, this is probably the very first appearance we ever see of it. Another picture with parallels to Happiest Day is this picture here, which depicts a little girl being lifted into the sky while holding on to a bunch of balloons. This theme of balloons and ascension is used again in Happiest Day when the children drop their masks and float up to heaven. And after their spirits are gone, we see a couple of balloons get lifted into the sky as well. In the drawings, we see balloons again with this picture of Bonnie and 2 children, which is kind of interesting if you think about it, because one of the newspaper articles that sometimes appears mentions that there was an event where 2 children went missing at once. And to make it even more unsettling, 2 children are featured again. In this picture, it seems like there are 2 kids blowing out a candle on a cake. The empty masks of Freddy and Bonnie are floating above them. And I honestly might just be a big scaredy cat, but this kind of creeps me out really bad. Here's another picture with Bonnie in it. This time he's jumping out of a present while a child smiles nearby. And this actually might be the first appearance of Green Shirt Guy. But what's this? He's not bald in this picture. This must be very important to the lore, guys. But in all seriousness, this one is pretty innocent, save for Bonnie's soulless glowing eyes, but other than that, everything is chill. Another picture that has presents as a theme is this one right here. And honestly, I'd argue that this one here is the most significant in the context of FNAF 1 when it first came out. This picture features a man or a boy in a purple shirt opening a present, while 5 yellow smiley faces watch him. In front of him there's another smiling face, this time it's an animatronic. It's the same color as Freddy, but we don't see his ears or his top hat, and he has the same kind of eyes that the Bonnie picture from earlier had. Almost like someone looking out of the eye holes of a mask instead of a normal face. And given that throughout the game we're being stalked by 5 different possessed animatronics, the yellow smiley faces are given a different meaning. The gameplay of FNAF 1 is very ironic, given that you watch the animatronics through a security system. You track their every move, and are able to see them wherever they go except for a few blind spots in the kitchen. but in reality, it's you who's the one being monitored. You may be watching the screen, but you're being watched even more carefully, usually from a distance. And just like how the animatronics can't escape from the view of the camera, you cannot escape the office where you're trapped. So they continue to watch you from afar while you're able to do absolutely nothing. So if the 5 smiling faces in this drawing are of the ghost children, then who is the purple shirt boy? Here's something interesting I saw on Reddit. I'll put it up on the screen for you guys. But just through process of elimination and the fact that there are very little characters in the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, there's a very good chance that this boy is Mike Schmidt. Maybe he had a birthday party at Freddy Fazbear's long ago. I mean, some of the wording in the trailer implies that he's been to this location before, especially since we're told that we're not going to be at Freddy's during the day. To me, this creates a kind of expectation. Something is different this time, and we need to pay attention. Now, obviously, to spend 5 nights at this establishment, Mike would need a pretty solid motive. Think about this. Maybe the picture is the last birthday party he had where everyone was together, before his childhood friends went missing. Their one happiest day. And although years have passed, Mike has not forgotten about them. He's still haunted by what could have been, who they could have become, if they'd reached adulthood like he had. But he was the only one, and he was alone, so the only thing he could think to do was continue looking for his friends. And what better place than Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where it all started. But what Mike Schmidt didn't expect was that his friends were much closer than he could have ever imagined. And they had changed, but not in the way they were supposed to. I think just with the context of the first game, this is a pretty solid theory. I mean, I think it's always been implied that Mike has had something to do with the crimes at Freddy's. And if he was a survivor of the MCI, or not targeted in it at all, the It's Me could make a lot of sense. I also want to bring the movie into this a little bit. I think for the FNAF story, Scott is probably not opposed to Michael Afton and Mike Schmidt being separate characters, given that that's the direction that I think they're probably going to go in the second movie as well. Movie Mike is probably not William's son because he would definitely remember and recognize him unless his mom moved him away when he was really little or something and got remarried. But even then their relationship would not be the same as it is in the games, because if Mike never knew William, he couldn't have really had any effect on him. In some ways, I feel like Vanessa is more similar to Game Michael, and in some ways even a parallel, especially with the way she is controlled by William and manipulated by him, but also with the way that she seeks to right his wrongs and tries to rebel against him even if he does have some control over her. Movie Mike also parallels Game Mike in a lot of ways. I mean, both of them feel responsible for their younger brother's death. Movie Mike feels responsible for losing Garrett, and he also experiments with lucid dreaming and sleeping pills. And I made a video about that recently, so go check it out, please. But in terms of the movie, I think Mike Schmidt not being an Afton and being a separate character altogether could work just as well. And it could also work to be closer to the original lore of the first FNAF game. I mean, without the Aftons and everything. It would actually be super interesting to see where the story would go without the reveal that Mike is an Afton. If he was just a sad guy trying to get revenge for his childhood friends' deaths. But of course the canon story works just as well. And with William being Mike's father, it gives them a stronger tie to each other, instead of Mike just being a friend or family member of one of his victims. And with that, I think that's going to do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I know this one was a little bit of a shorter one, but I'm working on something pretty cool right now for you guys. Especially with the new FNAF 2 trailer coming out, I have a lot of things to say about it. But for this one, I just wanted to talk about the drawings because I really love them. As always, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1K by December, and if we do, I have a super special surprise for you guys. So please join the party. And as always, thank you so much for all the comments and the engagement in the community posts. I like hearing from you guys and seeing what kind of stuff you want to see from me in the future. And if you made it to the end of the video, please tell me who you're looking forward to seeing the most in the FNAF 2 movie. See you guys later.